been here now for 15 months, boss, and 15 months now for managers, almost an eternity. But a lot of the foundations that you hope to put in place, they've been laid now. Can you talk about what you feel has been achieved in that 15 months?
Well, I think when I came in, the big thing was the team had been conceding a lot of goals. It had very little energy on the pitch. We were bottom of the physical stats in nearly everything in the Premier League. Now, I didn't think that was necessarily to do with the players. How could we get that better? And initially, it didn't. But right away, we knew we had the January window. We came in around about December the 30th, and I knew if I could maybe see if I could add something that might help the team. It's not an easy thing to do that in December, I've got to say. But we got Thomas, who could run. We got Jared, who we knew could run, and got some goals. So I felt as if the first thing we had to do was get an energetic team which could at least run around and compete with the opposition. So the addition of them, so my first sort of layer of foundation was to try and make sure that we had a team which were going to be competitive. What I didn't want was a team that was going to get rolled over and we couldn't keep up, and players were coming off injured after 60 minutes, or we had a training ground full of injured players all the time. So we had to change that. But I see that as being the first layer of foundations going down. And you'll never get any growth unless you've got good foundations. So you'll never get anything which grows. So we've actually, I'm saying this really, at the moment we've got a few injuries, but prior to it we've been nearly injury free. So we had to get rid of getting lots of people injured. We had to get the players in a better physical condition where they were more robust, more resilient, whether that be in playing or whether it be in their training or regularly doing the training. I think we also, the players have had very little time off here, so it's been built into them that we're training most days, this is the way it's going, this is what we're doing. So I think all those things had to go in to saying, no, we're changing West Ham, we're not going to have anything which isn't going to be completely, fully professional and as correct as we possibly can get it. Now's the stage where we have to see if we can get another layer of bricks on top of those foundations. And we've tried to do that a little bit. In January wasn't easy. We decided to bring Jesse Lingard in loan, which has given us a little bit of another building point on that. But the next part of the foundations is going to be the next bit in the growth, is because we need to be looking to buy players who can keep us at a consistent level, players who are going to play, players who are young and going to be good for the future and not just for the next 6 months or the next year. Yeah, of course, now and again we have to do that. But the amount of people who wanted me to get a centre forward who might only be here just as a stopgap, but I didn't want to waste the club's money. I wanted to make sure that I tried to keep it, save it up, and hopefully I can spend it as wisely as I can as we go along.
And I suppose another one of the foundations that we can see is the staff you put in place. Obviously, all the coaches offer something different. Mm-hmm. They've all got good football backgrounds. They're all, as we can see,
mm-hmm.
Stuart Pearce, mm-hmm. Paul, Kevin, Alan, that you've obviously mm-hmm. worked with many years, and you can just see. And obviously, at the moment, because there's no fans in, you can hear as well mm-hmm. what they bring, and it's all sort of part of the jigsaw.
Yeah, they were brought. I remember, at the time, I felt having a bigger staff would be helpful. I think partly because the way I want the club to work, I want us to work much more in smaller groups. I want the training to be done. I want them to be, of course we're joined up, but I need all the departments to know what they're doing. So they've all got good job specifications, where all the staff, I've got to say at the moment, Kevin and Paul are doing a great job with set pieces and organising the set pieces and all the stuff that goes from that. Then we have Alan, who's always watching and analysing the opposition for us and how we do it. Piercy will debrief on what we've done in the games as well. Now, coupled within that, then we all have the other parts, which is the training, the team, the players. We're trying to work an awful lot with the players individually, is to show what they're doing well, what they're not doing so well, so that we can bring them on. And the big thing I could say about the players is they're responding. They really are. But the staff have been wonderful. And if there's anything I would say about the staff was, when I got COVID, they stood in and done brilliant. That would be, and probably got two of the biggest results of the season. So, great credit to the staff.
And part of obviously the improvement we've made, you mentioned Thomas and Jared coming in last summer and Jesse coming in 6 or 8 weeks ago, is the recruitment. And I remember watching you as manager, and every game you watched on Sky, you'd be in the stand.
Mm-hmm.
You'd either be scouting or props, and I know you like to watch as much football as you can, maybe just for enjoyment, but also because you never know what you're going to spot. And recruitment is something that you take so seriously.
Well, I always think you'll lose your job if you don't have good recruitment. If you don't buy the right players, then more than likely you're not going to have a good team, which in turn will probably mean that you don't succeed. I used to, when I was younger, I always had a saying that I would never sign a player unless I watched them live myself. And that was what I'd done as a young coach. I wouldn't sign anybody unless I'd seen them live myself. And if you think about it now, is why would you go and spend 25-30 million if you hadn't actually been and seen the player and sort of studied them and understood and found out as much as you can? Nowadays, though, there is so much information at hand. We have analytics, we have analysts who are watching the games. I can pull up MD's games and watch them all. So I've got to say there's a lot easier ways in doing it than maybe flying to watch somebody and coming back. But I still think that for me to put the seal on it, I'd probably rather go and watch them first if I could. It's not always possible nowadays, and certainly in the stage we're at just now, it's not easy. But the other thing is you need a wee bit of luck as well. You need to try and get a bit lucky, try and do your homework as well as you can, and bring a good player in. But just to finish that, is nobody ever wants to sign a bad player. I don't know any manager who's tried to sign a bad player. We all try to sign good players.
And as you get better and better, you'll know this obviously with your experience, the harder it gets because the better calibre of player you need to sign, more competition probably from bigger clubs, some with more resources. So how do we build on, I suppose, that recruitment foundation going forward? How do we keep up?
Well, I don't see our model being that we should go and buy all the most expensive players in the world to bring them here and think this is the right way, because I think that I don't see that being as a long-term future for West Ham. If West Ham want a long-term future, my idea would be that the club has to build. We need to look at you look at the success, and I use the Red Bull model as an example because I see them buying in young players for the future. But if every player you buy in you're expecting to see play in the first team or we're in, that can't be the way. We need to be trying to recruit for down below who are going to maybe come through in a year or two. But we're not quite in that stage yet, and that's what I was talking about, the building stage. We're still at the stage where we're probably needing to bring players in who are going to be in the team or in the squad or at least affecting the team. So we're just at that period of just starting. We're still looking for players to give us a consistent first team. Now, if we're doing the same again next year, I would hope that we would start to be looking to say, right, okay, we're going to have to start to grow from below more. We're going to have to start getting more through from the academy. We're going to have to start to get a level of player which gives us more. But, we've got one or two players in the academy we like at the moment. It's not too long that we had Ben Johnston up. We've got young Meepo training with us regular at the moment. So we've got to try and keep a sort of one or two of our own players coming through as well. Meanwhile, if we can continue to add to it, that would be great.
You said in a few of your press conferences that when the fans come back, they're going to come back excited. They're going to come back positive. They're going to come back really looking forward to seeing this team play. So, fingers crossed, it's going to be a fortress because there's going to be 57 out of 60,000 people in there really buzzing for their team.
Well, we need them back to see a team which is doing ever so well and a team which is playing well, performing well, getting results, hanging in, resilient. When we're not playing so well, we've got results, and then there's been some games where we've been terrific in them as well. So, come back and really get behind the players because what they're doing at the moment is a great job. The players have been terrific, and there's a real feel of progression and positivity amongst the players. The players at the training ground have been great. Their training's been good. So, we don't always play well, but I've got to say there's a really good feeling amongst the players.
And just lastly then, this isn't a promise, this isn't a target, but consistency and stable progress is something that you've preached and preached in previous roles that you've had. That's what we want to attain, isn't it? And that's what you're working for.
It's completely what we want to do. I mean, looking at West Ham from a distance for many years, I didn't see a great deal of consistency. I've got to say I saw some really good teams and I saw some unbelievable players play for West Ham. But what we need to try and find now is a level of consistency. And quite often to get consistency, you do have to sort of be maybe 1 year good, 1 year down a bit, 1 year good, and before you find that level of consistency. So I hope that people are patient, because if you're not patient, then you go into the situation where you chop and change and you don't get that. So that's the way I view it, that's the way I've seen it. I saw it happening in the early years at Everton. You know, if you want to be a team who's competing for Europe all the time, you sometimes have to feel that there's a few bumps in the road in the way as well before you get that consistency. But at the moment, we want to keep going forward. We want to try and be positive. We want to keep playing well and adding to the squad at the right times with the right players.